Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, DJ Adam Cruz, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan, 91.6. We are so glad that you're here. DY Music Radio and the freedomradiohour.com, too. What up, Adam?
Oh, I'm so happy to see you. Let's jump right out in front. But first, let's take a moment to let our listeners and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music, but we're here to be your number one source for music, business news, and trends from around the globe. Okay, we have to talk about the goings-on with Facebook and YouTube and why it has everything to do with you and I. So what's been going on is this. We have to give you a little context. December, at the end of the year of 2017, Facebook announces that they have secured a deal with one of the three major labels, that is Universal Music Group. Okay? January of 2018, they send out another announcement. We have just secured a licensing deal with Sony, the second of the biggest three labels. Now, just recently, as spring is upon us, we have another announcement from Facebook that they have secured a deal to license music from who? Warner Music Group. That is the three biggest labels in the world. Why is this very significant thing something that we should cover here? Well, remember how we were talking about when you go to Facebook Live and you are posted live and then later on you get in trouble because maybe something they consider to be an infringement on copyright? Well, now what you're going to find over time is hopefully a loosening of that particular rule because the license agreements have been signed now. So what happens is they want to make it so that there's ease of use with users like you and I when we post any content with music in it. Because if it's...
Well, you know, now that you say it makes sense because eventually it goes back to the label.
Right, but that took a while because not all of them are jumping aboard. And so Facebook has been really happy to announce that these things are happening, and the labels are excited because they see revenue possibilities. But there's another thing at play that I want to bring up. We've had a long problem here with YouTube and what's called the value gap. YouTube is a free entity for the most part. They do have a subscription service, but most of you and I, when we go on youtube.com, we're searching free product. We might have to sit through an advertisement, but we don't care, right? But what YouTube has been doing is the advertising money that they garner for that ad that you have to sit through, they make a lot of money from that. Billions of dollars, as a matter of fact. And so those billions of dollars that they've made in advertisement off the backs of music and videos, music labels and music publishers alike have been really up in arms because they noticed that while they're making billions in ads, up until this point, they've paid out to music publishers $273 million. Now, that sounds like, on the surface, you're like, oh, that sounds like a lot of money, but that's not when you compare. That sounds paltry when you consider that right now, today, YouTube is, at least last summer.
But wait a minute. I thought last we talked that you talked about that they had paid out over $1 billion.
Yes, but the problem that they're having here is that when you compare what they're making, it becomes per user, it becomes less and less and less.
Okay.
So they're only supposed to pay out what they can over time. So they have to release reports around that. Like last summer, they had to confess that the analysts around them have valued YouTube at a whopping $75 billion.
Here we go with these pre-forecast crap again, you know.
Listen.
Overvaluing these companies.
But YouTube is valued at $75 billion. And so if they're paying a fraction of that off, whether it's $273 million or even $1 billion, that's still a fraction of what they're making because they use the music. Okay, that's YouTube's value gap problem. So we've been waiting for a resolve to that. What are we hoping to get? An increase per user from YouTube and what they're paying out. So what does that mean? They'll pay more for using the music because we feel like that we're ought to get a fairer share. But Eddie is also inferring to a really important point, which is, what is the figure? Is it that they're paying out $273 million? Is it that they're paying out $1 billion? Or what is the real figure? And why is it so hard to get a simple answer like 1 + 1 is 2?
Because in today's math, 1 + 1 does not equal 2. It equals something else.
Yes, but this is their part of their problem. So why are we talking about this in the Facebook story? Well, up until now, music publishers were trepidatious or hesitant to bring up a threat against YouTube. The only thing they had was to say, okay, if you're not willing to pay us a fair share, we're going to pull all of our catalog out of your website. So to which YouTube has said, well, then you're out that 273 million, the whatever it is that we're paying out, you're out that money. That equates to just less than what CD sales are bringing in at this point.
And not only that, there are billions of viewers that they have accessible to.
So the music publishers felt like their hands were tied to a certain degree because they didn't have a sort of they didn't have any real leverage by making that kind of threat. If they did, I'm not saying they did, but if that were the argument, they had no leg. Now they've secured these deals with Facebook, which is another juggernaut. So now they might have the leverage to say, hey, YouTube, get your act together, because if you don't, we will pull our catalog from you, and we're making money from Facebook, so it doesn't matter.
And I will say Facebook has so many wonderful little categories that you can now go to find vintage music and videos and everything. You can find anything. But you know what? We're going to be right back. 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan, DY Music Radio, freedomradiohour.com. Check you back.
Come on back. We have more to tell you. Singer, songwriter, performer, and host Eddie Nicholas debuts his fantastic new album. Released in conjunction with mixtape sessions and Deck Music imprint, Eddie brings you a 16-track album full of fantastic jams upon jams, perfect for any dance floor. The album includes records like Fall in Love, Goomba, and Reuben. Check out EddieNicholas.com and TrackSource for his brand new LP.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the freedomradiohour.com. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie Nicholas, and we're so glad that you have decided to come and join us on 91.6 FM. What up, Mr. Adam Cruz?
Well, I'm so delighted you decided to come back with us for the Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. We were talking about what's going on with Facebook and how they've just announced deals with the three biggest labels over time, starting in December, another in January, and now this third one in March, all around securing licensing. And that'll help those that are posting on Facebook, either going live or posting something with music underneath, because over time, what you'll see is a loosening of that copyright infringement notice that you might be getting, because they now have secured a deal with all of the labels that your music is attached to. That's not going to happen from one day to the next, but over time you'll see an ease around that use. And that's Facebook's design, because what they really want to do is make it simple for the user or any user-generated content, because they're already going to be making money.
And they're sick and tired of getting complaints from people. Why is my music being taken down? Why did my video
I
get
disagree.
taken down?
I don't think they're sick and tired of anything. I think Facebook is after a bigger fish.
Well, you know that.
They're going to be looking to implement this kind of model in China and all these far-off lands where they can make billions of dollars. So it behooves them to make secure better deals so that they can go and get sort of that global fish, if you will. One of the pies way out far away, you know? But anyway, I found it really interesting. While YouTube is dealing with that value gap problem that we talked about in the last segment, Facebook is dealing with their own version of value gap. Did you know this? I didn't. Evidently, you know, for YouTube, music publishers are fighting YouTube's problem where they get the billions of dollars from ads and they only pay out a fraction to the music publishers. Well, in news publishers are fighting Facebook for the same thing. They allege that they are getting paid a fraction from the advertisements that are garnered for Facebook versus the popularity of their content. You know, some of these articles and these video clips, they all go viral. And now we're in an age where the engine is social media. Facebook in particular is under fire, as Eddie has talked about, because of its breach of data that's been happening. But more than that, Facebook has become really a powerful force for disseminating information and misinformation. You know what I'm saying? So now we're at this place where Facebook, where the kicking and screaming has become its own kind of worst enemy to a certain degree.
Because now they have to find a way to make sure that the content that is coming through is accurate.
Exactly.
and they're going to be called upon to, because if it happens again, Facebook will be sued, because Congress is already setting up where they want the owner to come in and speak on this very topic that we're talking about. You know, breach of confidential information,
right,
and all that type of stuff. And we are our own fault when we sign up, when we give privilege, when we sign. Do you allow this? Do you allow that? Do you want to take part in this little poll here by virtue of you saying yes to any of those things and pressing that button and allowing it? Asks you, can we deny or allow? Once you press that allow button, all that information
is
that
right
is privy is right there for them.
And it's harder, you know, hacking. When you think of the word hacking, there was in a bygone era, you would just think of someone violating your information in some way or violating a system. But to Eddie's very point, yes, that continues on, but we're also giving permission for that to occur real easily, just by virtue of signing up with Facebook or Twitter or the others. And they all don't treat the sharing of data equally. Case in point, now we're in this political arena where social networks are being looked at and investigated to see what kind of role they played in influencing the election. Well, while
and not only that, it also comes down to dollars and cents. These lists have money attached to them.
Exactly. Exactly, and I think that in the music game, we don't know how to use these social networks correctly oftentimes, and we just try sort of a willy-nilly approach to getting our word out there. But there's really a fine finesse sort of science to it, and we need to look at what's happening sort of in politics, not because we want to be like them, but because we want to learn how they were able to infiltrate, because that's your business. If you're an artist or an author or promoter or producer, your business in part is the business. You know, it is called music business. So it behooves you to figure out ways to get more attention to not only what you're doing, but get them to buy into what you're doing.
And also protect yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You got to protect yourself. So I think be careful of the things that you and also be aware that while there are opportunities to take advantage of you, you can take advantage of that same thing if you know what to do. You know, I think that's the point of what they're talking about. So Facebook has got to answer to news publishers about their own value gap problem.
And it just finds me, you know, I find that as a quandary, because when you look on it, you have all the, like CNN, they always are telecasting live from Facebook. So,
exactly.
You know, the Hill, major news when the president comes on, all of this stuff is shown live.
And also, when we talked before about fair use, you know, that's ability for you and I to post an article from a news outlet without needing permission because it's just news. Now, this kind of puts that on its head to a certain degree, because these news outlets need to be paid. And so what does that mean for fair use? You know, it's just a real kind of weird time we're at. Anyway, let's take another break. We'll be back to talk more of music business news and trends right here on the Freedom Radio Hour.
91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan, DY Music Radio, the freedomradiohour.com.
Mixtape Sessions is proud to present singer, songwriter, actor, and Mixtape Sessions recording artist Jacqueline Graham. Produced by DJ and label head Adam Cruz, the Jacqueline plea includes Inside My Head and You Showed Me Your Love. Check out Jacqueline Graham and the Jacqueline EP, available to stream everywhere now. Mixtape Sessions, music for the people.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM and on the web at dwobmusicradio.com. You're deep in the zone right here on the Freedom Radio Hour, your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. I'm sitting here with my fantastic partner,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people? Welcome back. We are so glad that you are here to join us on this segment of the Freedom Radio Hour. What's up, Adam?
Well, we got to go back into time. You know, it's very interesting what's happened. You know, it's no secret that streaming has taken the forefront of the market in terms of music consumption. Streaming is number one. Why? Because people rather access than ownership. They don't need to actually physically hold anything, with the exception of people
play
like
and carry.
Yeah, that's it. With the exception of DJs. You know, DJs want to rock clubs or lounges. They need a physical product for now, until someone invents a way where DJs don't even need that anymore. And then we've seen like a change in music over time where things like vinyl used to be king, and that fell to the wayside in favor of the digital download. And then downloads kind of fell to the wayside in favor of streaming. But, before vinyl was king, there was the 8-track. And then the 8-track was this thing that you could put into cars and into certain players, but that fell to the wayside in favor of a smaller version called the cassette tape. Now, I don't know about you, but I had a humongous cassette tape collection at one point or another. Did you?
Lord have mercy, I taped every episode of WBLS. What was the other radio station back then? KTU?
Yep. Mine was
cassettes.
89.1.
Yes.
I used to, that was like an NYU, Alba Cabrera was the host, and I used to tape that show all the time because they played
Sweet, all of that candy store, all of that.
So that was where cassette tape was king, and it kind of was living hand in hand with vinyl. One wasn't sort of squelching the other until you started to see these other forms come out, and then it completely ate up previous versions of. And
hence we get the actual word of mixtape.
Yes.
Because people actually would make cassette tapes and sell them out of the back of their cars.
Exactly. So that's a little history there. But nobody has ever thought that cassette tapes would be a thing. Well, you should know that the latest trend right now is where you're seeing live performances where at the end their merch table is not just t-shirts like the one I'm wearing or even vinyl or USB sticks. Now they're selling cassette tapes.
Now the question is, who still has a cassette player?
Well, check me out. Well, that vinyl started to enjoy a renaissance and continues to this day. This sort of uptick in sales for vinyl after they had already thought that vinyl was dead. There was a huge campaign around seeming to announce the death of vinyl, but it really came back. Partly because young people were into purchasing punk and rock records or repurchasing really popular records on vinyl as sort of a novelty thing. And so that developed into more nostalgia and increased sales, and young people were really the catalyst for wanting...
And on-hand physical product.
Yeah, they like that feeling of the physical product. So young people are really credited for bringing back vinyl sales, at least here in the States. And so we've seen that over time. And so evidently, cassette tapes, young people are responsible for that as well. Whereas vinyl was punk and rock for the most part initially, cassette tapes are all around hip-hop. And that really made sense when you think about it. There's an article I read where an Omaha, Nebraska outfit was talking about they love offering cassette tapes because it really speaks to the hip-hop culture there. You see, hip-hop is more popular than ever before around the globe, and so cassette tapes and mixtapes, to Eddie's point, is really synonymous with hip-hop. You used to sell a lot of mixtapes in the streets that really was the engine for driving sales for hip-hop music. So this Omaha, Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere kind of outfit
is enjoying... And you said in the middle of nowhere, hence the reason why cassette
But they're enjoying sales.
I
had to figure it out. So according to sales last year, there were 174,000 cassette tapes sold nationally.
Okay.
No, national.
Okay.
That's actually...
I'm sorry, Omaha.
That's more than I thought. 174,000 cassette tapes. I didn't think there were... Nobody at all was, because to your point, who has a cassette tape anymore? Even in your cars that you're buying now, it's not like there's a cassette tape in there anymore. There used to be 8-tracks.
Unless you like me, you got one still held over from the old days.
Or if you have like a little boom box or some sort of portable stereo where it has it in there, what's the chances? Anyway, I'm just fascinated by these things. It's like what old is new. What's old is new again.
It all comes back around.
It does.
All comes back around. It's repackaging. It's all about repackaging and putting it back out there.
And if you find that right audience...
Because you have to realize the generation that is coming up now, they know nothing about 45s. They know nothing about the gigantic 70, those heavy 78s, all of those things.
I feel like all of that will come back. Next thing you know, they're going to be announcing the resurgence of Laserdisc.
They've never gone, though. People can still buy them. You just have to...
You cannot buy Laserdisc
I'm sure
today.
You can.
Oh, my. I know Blu-ray, but that's small, like DVD. Anyway.
You know about them great big old...
I'm talking about the big ones,
You
yeah.
can still buy them. I don't know if you can find something to still play them on, but you can still buy them.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Freedom Radio Hour. Make it your business to download our free app for Android and iPhone users. We're available on Google Play and within the Android store. Also, check out, Android and App Store, I meant to say.
Yes, get it right.
Yes.
Tongue twister.
Yes. Also, check out Mr. Eddie Nicholas's debut, Do You Want to Dance LP, available to download and stream everywhere. Here's the cover right here. Check it out, y'all. Fantastic 16-track album. Also, check out DJAdamCruz.com for more fantastic music. And also, visit the website at freedomradiohour.com and leave us a comment under everything we're posting because we'd love to hear from you. All right. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead. See you next time.
Thank you. 91.6 FM, the Heartbeat of Sudan, DY Music Radio, and freedomradiomusichour.com. Peace,
Freedom
love.
Radio Hour.
Well.
You said you had the music hour. Oh. Well, it is music.
Where's the music hour? Peace and love.
Later.